if you don't get over that, you're doomed. Because what happens is this, you start to create a whole bunch of people that aren't even yourself. You never figure out who you are. You never live up to your dreams, your ambition. You live up to what whoever is around you that you like so much, that you want to emulate and be like so much, you live their dreams. You lose your power. You lose your power. The ultimate power is owning yourself. I had to reinvent a human being. I sat at home for so many fucking nights by myself, broken, not just physically, mentally, spiritually. Like that chart we have up here with the fucking charity and the fucking family and all that shit. I was looking at it yesterday like this. Fuck. I didn't have any of that shit. Mental toughness, strength, power, shit. I'm like, fuck, man, I was fucked up. But then I sat back and said to myself, I invented a motherfucker. I actually sat back when I was fat, nasty, out of shape, miserable, and created a human being in my mind that didn't even exist. And said, that's what I want to be. I want to be that guy. I want to be a guy that's capable of doing exactly what I'm doing today. And you have to, if you weren't born that guy, that mentally strong guy, he can be made. Woman, man, whatever the hell you are. It can be made. But in making that person, you have to be able to turn down book deals. You have to be who the fuck you are every day of your life and never care about anybody who gets in your way that said you're not doing something the proper way. I was always afraid of people not wanting to, like, when you get beat as bad as I did, I lied all the time. I wanted to be accepted and loved and all that shit that I created about 50 people. Whatever you like, I like. Just if you would be my friend, just be my friend. And that's where we get lost in life. I realized that whenever times would get hard for me, I would fucking quit. And I would work my ass off. I taught myself how to read and write. I taught myself how to swim. But whenever something would crest just high enough to where I just couldn't mentally handle it, I would always just punch out. And this right here is you pulling your parachute and pulling a reserve is why I'm doing this. So basically you always just punch out and you fucking quit and go back to where you started. I'm not good enough. And I wondered, why is my mind so fucked up? And I think a lot. And I said, you know what, man, this shit started in Buffalo with my father. I hadn't seen him now for 12 years. So I drove from Indiana to Buffalo, New York to visit my father. And while we didn't say anything to each other, you know, he tried to, you know, do whatever he does, and he didn't say sorry, but only went back there to study the demon. I never studied him before. And come to find out, years later, I found out that he's afraid of the dark. He died at 79 years old. He's afraid of the dark. I didn't know this. He had a whole bunch of demons himself. While he never said sorry, I was able to understand a little bit more about the fucking enemy. And when you understand the enemy more, it makes sense to why if nothing makes sense to you, you always wonder why. So those demons keep on flying around. I knew why. His dad beat the fuck out of him. Bad. The stories I heard were so horrible. My brother got the stories and relayed them to me. So I did my research. So never fear something until you do your research on it. The most important thing about all that is you have to go, there's always a blockade. There's a barrier in your brain. There's a barrier. You got to find out what kind of removes that barrier from your brain. My biggest barrier was my father. And once I removed that barrier, I was free to think. And once I felt good about myself, I was free to put action in. I never felt good about myself. I never felt good about myself. Whenever I would get somewhere, the demon would come back, pull me right back in the cage. If you don't go back, like I'm a runner, left knee hurts. A lot of people focus on that fucking left knee. A lot of times it's your fucking right hip. And that's about life. You gotta figure out what has messed you up mentally.
Go to the source.
Go to the source. Go to the origin of the source.
Like peeling an onion, strip it down.
And that's what I did to myself. So that, that whole accountability mirror.
Did you do it on your own? Did you do it with any help?
Every single thing I've ever done that's in that book or anywhere else was on my own. Everything. My mom worked 3 jobs. I was raised in a town of 10,000 people where the KKK marched in the 4th of July parade in 1995. There wasn't a lot of fucking help. My first car got spray painted nigger all over it. And I was so dumb at that time. People say, oh, don't call yourself dumb. I was fucking dumb at that time. That they spelled nigger Niger. Y'all motherfuckers can laugh. I know there's a lot of white people in here, it's okay. And I went to the principal, and the principal said, "That's all you can tell me." And my mom knew about none of this because I felt so sorry for her and how she grew up, or kind of grew up because she was 19 when she met my father. And I saw this young woman just become a shell of herself. She's 72 now, and still, she has everything. Everything. And she still lives back there. Cannot live in the present where she has everything. All the money she wants, she's healthier than me, everything. But the demon brings her back in the cage.
Is life suffering?
There's a part of it that has to be about suffering. And people hate it when I post about suffering, this whole new kindler, gentler, soft-ass fucking world, they just fucking, oh God, this is horrible. We talking about, no. Suffering, if you know how to do it without making it out to be like, oh, I'm not talking about you have to go through cancer. But I guarantee one thing, man, I bet you're a better motherfucker mentally if you look at it the right way. Everything I went through in my life, every bad fucking thing I went through in my life, the 2 heart surgeries, all the name calling, being everything I went through. If you learn how to flip that motherfucker on top of his head and say, hang on, there's so much power in this fucking thing. And if you look at life as it is a trial ground, a testing ground for where you need to belong, where you need to go, suffering is a fact of life. And if you look at suffering the right way, it's a great tool to callous your mind. If you look at it as suffering, woe is me, this is bullshit, God kicking rocks. If you look at it like, okay, motherfucker, you're testing me now. I get it. Whenever I'm being like depressed, I go through depressed moments, I go, oh, hang on. I'm getting tested. So you have to be aware of all the signals and signs that are being given to you from the world. One of them is if you feel bad, you're being tested. How are you going to perform under that? And that's suffering is a part of life.